In today's video lesson, I shall be taking forward the explanation of the chapter in the Kingdom of Fools. Listen to the video lecture very carefully and take down the notes. Children, yesterday we had read that the blame game it had started. The merchant, he had complained against the bricklayer for not doing his work sincerely. The bricklayer in turn blames the dancing girl for diverting his attention. The king finally summons the dancing girl, and she too has her own explanations. Now let us read what she says. The king says that the wall, which was weakly built, it had fallen on a poor burglar and had killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished. Now this he is saying to the dancing girl, because the dancing girl was responsible for diverting the attention and concentration of the bricklayer, who in turn erected a weak wall. So what did she say? She thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait. I know now why I was walking up and down that street. I was given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel." So what does she say? That, "Sir, I have my reasons. Let me give it to you." And she said that why I was pacing up and down the street? Only because I had to pay a visit to the goldsmith time and again. I had given him some gold to be made into jewelry, which he took a very long time. He was very lazy. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. So whenever I went to him to collect my jewelry, he would only postpone it to the next day. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times. Please underline, children. So this is the reason that she is stating that I had to walk up and down only to collect my jewelry, which the goldsmith did not deliver on time. I had to go to his house about a dozen times. That was when this bricklayer saw me. "It's not my fault, my lord. It's the damned goldsmith's fault." So again, the blame, it had been passed on to the goldsmith. Let's read what happens next. "King, she's absolutely right," thought the king, weighing the evidence. "We have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once." Now, what had happened? The dancing girl, she had narrated her story and given her part of the explanation to the king. After listening to the explanation, the king remarked that yes, she is absolutely right. And then he weighed the evidence. It was again a very foolish act of the king. He further remarked that we have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. And he ordered that the goldsmith should be brought in front of his eyes at once. The king's bailiffs searched for the goldsmith, who was hiding in a corner of his shop. Now, bailiffs, children, the officers, the king's officers, they searched for the goldsmith and they found him hiding in a corner of his shop. He was caught and brought to the court. Now, after hearing the allegation against him, he had his own story to tell. And what does he tell? "My lord," he said, "I am a poor goldsmith. It is true I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders." Now he said that yes, I do agree that I had asked this dancer to come to my shop again and again only because I could not deliver her order on time, and there was a reason behind it. I had got an order from a rich merchant to make his jewelry. And why? Because there was a wedding at his house. I had to deliver his order, and this delayed the order of the dancing girl, and she had to pay me a visit again and again. You know how impatient rich men are, and he's adding to it that, rich men, they are really very impatient. Who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry, made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall? Now here the king is giving further evidence of his foolishness. And what does he say? He says that, who is this rich merchant? I want to know. He did not let you complete the order of this old lady, this woman, timely, and she had to come to you again and again, which distracted you, and you made a mess of the wall that you were erecting. Let's read what happens next, children. And this wall, it has fallen on an innocent man and killed him. Can you name him? So he's saying that I want to know the name of the merchant. He is responsible for the death of this poor man. Give me his name. The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. So when he took the name of the merchant, he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle. Full circle means it started with the merchant's complaint and it came back to him. So it's like a full circle, thought the king, back to the merchant. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry." And finally, when the merchant reached the court, what did he say? That, "Sir, it wasn't me, but it was my father who had ordered the jewelry, and he is dead. So I am innocent. I cannot be blamed. So let me go." So this is what the merchant had to say. Let's read what happens next. But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively. "It's true your father is the true murderer. He is dead, but somebody must be punished in his place." Now see, the king, he consulted his minister and ruled decisively, and he made a very effective decision. And what did he tell to the merchant? That yes, it's true, I agree that your father is the true murderer, but then he is dead and somebody must be punished, for a crime has taken place. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, his riches as well as his sins. Now what a foolish explanation he is giving to the decision that he had made. What does the king say? He says that, see, you have inherited everything from your criminal father, not only his wealth but also his sins. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. So you must die. He said that, the moment you had come to my palace, I had come to know that you are the root cause of this problem. And now that it has been proved right, you must die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. Children's stake, it's like a wooden platform, with a depression where you place the head and then the head is chopped off. So this is how the executions, the death penalty was executed. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, beheading of the criminal, it occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. Now then there was a problem. The stake that was available, the head of the rich merchant would not fit in that. Why? Because his head, the size, it was too small. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. Now this, the king found some reason behind it, that yes, you are right, his head won't fit in. And the king too worried about it. So now it was a matter of concern that someone has to be executed, but then the merchant, he is not fit. His head would not fit in this stake, and this worried the king. What shall we do? He said, when suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. Now the king and his disciple, they were searching for a man fat enough to fit the stake. Why? Because the merchant's neck, it was too thin for the stake. Then what happened? The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for the perfect man who would fit the stake. So the servants were sent to look for the perfect man. And what happened? Their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. Children, the wise guru, he had already warned the disciple that he should leave the town immediately, but then he did not pay heed to his words. He was so greedy that he decided to stay in that town. And what had happened? He had grown fat because he was feeding on the bananas, rice and wheat and the ghee which was available for just a dudu. Children, tomorrow we again have a live class. The rest of the chapter we will read tomorrow. Thank you.